Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Keep Going, Your Failures Don't Define You by Gaur Das. I will disagree with him there. Your failures do define you. But I will say more about that later if I don't forget. Let's go ahead and get started with the video.
There was a young man who tried his level best to clear his exams at university, but he repeated.
Wait, what?
There was a young man who tried his level best to
best.
clear his exams at university, but he repeatedly failed, and finally he just gave up, thinking that marriage would be the best way to make him responsible. His family got him married. After the marriage, the man took up a job as a primary school teacher.
That is kind of funny though. It's like, he's having problems. You know I'll do it? Get him married. That'll solve all his problems. You cannot say that in America. Probably in the Western world for the most part. But yeah, you know, I think I get what he's saying. But it's really strange. Like, oh yeah, marriage will fix his problem. Will solve his problem. When you look at in America, I think divorce rates are over 50%. And men tend to be screwed in the legal system. So, no, marriage will not solve your problem. But I think it's going based on the ideal ways of that. Generally speaking, which I believe also is what he said, is that generally speaking, men, when they find someone that they love and want to be with, that they tend to want to be a better person. They want to prove themselves to their significant other that they are, how do I say, a good quality person, a person who wants to be able to provide and protect, because that's somewhat innate in men, generally speaking. Again, generally speaking. So, and I've heard many stories that men, whenever, like, you know, they have children or whatever, they stop whatever they're doing, whatever they're pursuing, to provide for the family. That means stopping higher education and all that for some parts and just getting a job. I mean, that kind of sucks, but you know, there are priorities in life. Again, this is generally speaking. It's not everyone, of course.
But due to lack of experience, was mocked by the students and finally removed by the school authorities in just a few weeks' time. When he returned home that day, his wife wiped his tears and comforted him. She said to him, "You can teach young kids only if you've taken formal training, or at least have some experience of teaching kids. And for you, you didn't study teaching at university, nor have you dealt with kids earlier. So how would you know how to teach kids? Don't be too sad about it. When God says yes to your prayer, He gives you what you want. But when He says no to your prayer, He has something better for you. Probably there is a better, more suitable job waiting for you out there." Gathering some hope, the man kept trying to find opportunities, and when he did finally find one, he was once again chucked out of the job due to his slowness. Yet again his wife tried to encourage him by saying, "I'm sure there are people who are skilled and experienced at that job, and their experience comes from many years at it. As for you, you were in school trying to teach kids all this while. So how could you acquire the needed skills? Don't worry. When God says no to your prayer, He gives you something better. But when He says wait to your prayer, He gives you the best." The man kept trying his luck with several jobs, which never lasted more than a couple of weeks. At best, months.
There's a thing, sorry to keep pausing, but there's a thing that, they say in the dating game, like, you know, if you're dating a lot of people and you keep wondering why it's failing, you look at the common denominator, which is you. If you're failing at all these jobs, there might be something wrong with you. You may want to look inwards and see what's going on. Why are you failing all these jobs? Depending, of course, of the jobs that he apply. If he keeps applying for like a science job, oil rigs, or working in oil rigs, or working in sales or something like that, and it's failing. Like he works in sales at one department, sales at another store, sales at another place, sales in a corporate, and sales in this, and it's failing in all of sales. Stop going for sales, get something else different. Then that's fine. There's something wrong with sales. Maybe sales is not for you. Move on to a different thing. But if you're trying like sales, science, or construction manager, and like many different other jobs that are not related, and you're failing in all of them, you might want to start your own business. Because clearly working a job is maybe not for you. I don't know. Maybe you might be a particular type of job that you may need to get. But I mean, you're failing at many different types of jobs. There is something going on, and perhaps it's more along the lines of maybe you need to, like, the marriage thing didn't quite solve the real problem, and maybe you need to look inwards to find out what's going on. And again, this is where spirituality comes from, where you need to look inwards. You may never even find a problem when you do spirituality, because who cares? Once you have, I don't know how to describe this, but I guess once you discover your true self, or at the very least understand some aspects of it, like I have to some degree, you're able to, you don't even need to worry about what problem that may be. I don't know how to describe that though. But anyways, whether you discover the problem or not, once you have a certain level of spirituality, or to me, some level of understanding of who you are, that's what I prefer to say, but both are the same roughly. You should be able to do your job without issues. And that's not to say that I can do this job now and get hired. No, but you probably wouldn't be rejected or fired as often. Which, so far, whenever I do my job, I have a certain level of respect when I do my job. I understand that this job was this business was created by someone's passion. And if I were to have created this business, I would want my workers to act this way, and that's the way I would act. I may not like the job, I may hate my job, but I chose to do this job. And this is someone's, in a sense, you could say passion, or ways of getting more money, whatever it may be. But, I treat it as such. Like I said, they treat others the way you want to be treated. So when I get hired for a job, I may hate it, but I chose this job. I'm grateful to have the job. I guess that's the thing. I'm grateful to have the job. I may complain and bitch about it, but I'll do my job. That's what I'm hired for. That's what I signed up for. That's what I agreed to. And I guess I don't know where it's going with that one, but I guess that's the thing again. Like with other people, it's like, oh, I don't like this job, and they just are lazy about it or don't do it, and yet then why did you sign up for the job? But yes, anyways, there seems to be a bigger issue with you, with the person here, and they need to look inwards to find out what the problem is. If nothing else, understand who they are, what they are. And even if they can't figure out the problem, that should help them get past this blockade of rejections.
Each time he would return back home dejected and depressed, and his loving wife would comfort him.
Good wife there, for sure. That's the kind of significant other that you want in life, is someone who's supportive but realistic, as in, she can't keep saying, hey, you'll be fine after 57 different failures. He's like, hey, look, you gotta get going sometime now. Too many failures.
Never once was she disappointed or resentful. By the time the man was in his 30s, he had found his calling and had acquired a flair in languages. He ended up being a counselor in a school for those kids who were challenged in hearing and speaking. And a little later, he opened his own school for specially abled kids. In a couple of years, he set up a chain of stores in different cities and provinces selling apparatus and equipment for the specially abled, and went on to become a multi-millionaire. One day, the now rich man asked his wife, "When I was so negative about my own future, how could you have so much faith in me?" The reply that his wife gave him was simple yet very profound and inspiring. She said, "When a piece of land is not suitable for planting wheat, we should try planting beans. And after all the years of efforts, if beans are not growing well, we should try planting fruits or veggies. And if the vegetation doesn't work, we can scatter buckwheat seeds. These seeds will one day bloom into flowers, and on the very land itself, there will be one seed that will germinate and grow." After having listened to the wife's explanation, the man wept. Her faith in him, her love, her patience, her persistence was actually responsible for the successful empire that they now owned. Ladies and gentlemen, no one in this world is useless. The land may be very fertile, but you may not have figured out your seed yet. It takes a while to figure out what's your seed, what works for you. But once you discover your seed, your passion, your calling, excellence and abundant growth will simply be a consequence. Until then, you need to believe in yourself. More so, you need someone who can believe in you and keep you going till you see your day.
I will say, I typically do not like inspirational videos. And this one kind of falls, I mean, it's not that I don't like the person, it's just I don't like inspirational stories or quotes that are not based on reality. So his story here, I wish he would have realized, like, now the person that did this was this real life person. And I'd be like, that would be so amazing, because even though you can almost create any inspirational story of success, and someone out there has lived that life, but without tangible evidence of that person, it's kind of, for me in a way, it's not really relatable or not interesting, because it's, you're just making up a story at that point. And there are people out there who, I'd say, they're suckers for this in a sense. It's just that they feel inspiration to just words and things that are inspirational but are not based in some tangible reality. I don't know how to describe that. Like I said, you can create a story, and that story could have happened in real life, but without knowing who that is, to me it's just fluff, just to make you inspired. So a great example of an example I would give would be, there's a movie that Will Smith acted in, and I absolutely love that movie. I mean, I absolutely love that movie. I can't remember what it's called, but hold on, let me pause it and I'll take a look real quick. Hold on. Okay, so this is the movie right here. Will Smith, The Pursuit of Happiness. I remember watching this movie, and this is inspired by a true story. Now, I don't know how much of the story is true, or how much is blemished or Hollywoodized, as I'd call it. But it was still based on the true story of a person's struggle, and it was generally amazing. This guy, I think, again, I wish I knew how much of it was true. I wish there's a documentary about the actual person, but I think they were living out of their car. They were going into bathrooms just to take a shower, like public bathrooms, and this dude was doing everything possible to buy food for him and his child, and just trying to find a way to make money. And at the end, he ended up becoming he didn't create his own business. I mean, just to say, oh, in the end, he made billions of billions of hundreds of billions of all the money in the world money. It's like, good Lord, just being successful and was able to provide food, shelter, and a good education to their family. That's freaking amazing. That's more realistic than saying, oh, he made billions of billions of billions of billions of billions of money. It's like, okay. I know that's just a made-up story at that point, but he became quite successful. I don't know how successful he became, but the cool thing, apparently, when I watched a review of this movie, at the very end, there's a guy that walks, I think either across the street or something, was the actual person this story was based on. And I love, again, like I said, I love true inspirational stories that are based on real people who went through real struggles, and this is their story and this is their inspiration. This is something backed by evidence. I don't know how to describe it, backed by actual tangible people who've actually went through hard times. So you can actually see real people going through hard times and use that as an inspiration, as opposed to, yeah, this one person who was treated like crap and he was beat up all the time and he struggled all this life, and all of a sudden he made billions of billions of billions of billions of money and successful. It's like, that's supposed to be inspirational, It's like just words. Is he real? It's like, nah, I just made it up. But it's supposed to be inspirational. Yeah, no. To me, that's what inspirational quotes and things are. It's just made up words and just to try to inspire you. It doesn't really affect me. But like stories like this is genuinely inspirational. And one more thing, real quick. I'll pause. Okay, this is another one that I watch. Typically, I'm more of an action-oriented type person, but this is more. There's no real action to it, but it's again based on a true story of the people who created McDonald's. Again, I had to say this is an inspirational story because of what happened, but I look at it as an inspirational because of how persistent this guy was, and how much dedication and how much drive he had to make something successful. He did a lot of crummy things. Lots of it. I'm not looking at that as inspirational. I'm more looking at the fact that this guy, again, was like having problems with money. He was trying to be successful in selling, I think, milkshakes or something like that. And was having a hard time. But yet his drive and his passion to become successful was the inspiration. How you get there and what you do to get there, that's another thing. It's just the drive and passion he had to become successful. It's what I find inspirational. His pursuit to take a risk and his pursuit to obtain knowledge and how to do things. Scummy, but still, legally speaking, I think it was legal. Scummy, but still, he was very much driven and passionate. Driven and passionate? He was definitely driven. I think he was passionate about making money, being successful. He was passionate about that. But yes, so again, in an inspirational movie, be careful of what you're inspired by it, but still nonetheless. Anyway, that's my reactions to this video, Gaur about, again, an inspirational quotes, which I would I'd rather have I wish he did that story based on someone that's real. That would have been so much more meaningful in my opinion. Anyways, if you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid. I knew I forgot something. Why do your failures define you? Anyways, they define you because hopefully, if you're wise, you will learn from your failures. So it's not to say that they define you in terms of you are a failure. They define you hopefully as a way to say that I learned from my mistakes and I will become a better person. Because of your failures, you are now a better person because of it. That's the reason why I say it defines you. Not because, oh, I am defined as a failure, which can be if you continue to fail over and over again. But one thing I hope everyone does is learn from their mistakes and become a better person or better whatever it is they're doing at it. So in my opinion, it does define you, but in a positive way if you learn from it and become better. Otherwise, you're defined by your failures in the bad way, not the good way. So I knew I forgot something, and hopefully now you understand why I said you are defined by your failures, because you learn. Hopefully, you learn from them and become a better person.